freaking first cut. Golly.
Hello, YouTube. This is not a rerun, but Tony Finau is back on top of the leaderboard. We've got 18 holes in the books at the Rocket Mortgage Classic. We'll talk through the top, look at the live odds, and much more. Hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. We'll jump into it right now. Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gaiman. That right there, Greg Ducharme. And Greg, I've got a little deja vu because Tony Finau's at it again.
Yes, he is. I mean, did he miss a shot today?
No.
This is unbelievable. Of course, he leads the field in strokes gained tee to green. He didn't have to do anything around the green. He was 13. He hit 13 of 14 fairways, and for the first time in his career, hit every single green. This is just a continuation for him.
8 under par. It's a 64. It was bogey free. He's tied at the top. We'll talk about the guy that he's tied with, but I feel like we're seeing the modern player, Greg, is doing a couple things a little bit differently. They seem to want to play before major championships more often, at least than the previous generation did. And when they get hot, they just keep going, right? You could talk about Scotty Scheffler, Sam Burns. Some of these guys have just absolutely just stayed in the moment longer than I feel like we've seen in the past.
Yeah, it's a good point, Rick. And you really have to, because the game today is much more streaky than it used to be in the past. The reward for the consistent player, the regular top 30 player on the PGA Tour, that reward is going down a little bit because players have the ability. I believe it's because more players have the ability to win. And the way that I guess the dollars, the payout, and when it used to be the money list was always like this. But now the way the FedEx Cup points are structured, which pretty closely mirror that, you're talking about really big rewards near the top. And when you start finishing near the top of the leaderboard and you start getting close, wins are extremely valuable and they're extremely hard to come by. And it's really hard to pass up an opportunity when you feel like your game is ready to win a tournament or win back-to-back tournaments or win 3 in a row. I mean, it's something that you really got to keep you got to strike while the iron's hot, I guess.
There's obviously 54 holes still to go. There's a lot of golf to be played. Tony Finau echoed that same sentiment in his post-round interview, but even if we assume Tony Finau goes on to win the Rocket Mortgage Classic and goes back-to-back 2 weeks in a row, I don't even want to call it a floodgates moment, because with Tony, it's like he needs this positive regression, right? There's been like 5 years of top 10s and unluckiness. He gained more strokes finishing second at the RBC Canadian Open than he did in his win at the 3M Open. Like, there's just a lot of luck things that seem like they have to shake themselves out for Tony at some point.
Yeah, he is. Again, it's a great theory, Rick, and a great question. I did a little bit of research on this after he won last week at the 3M, and Tony's win percentage is really small. And of all the players, I think he was 16th or 17th in the world last week. And of every player ranked ahead of him, only 2 had smaller win percentages. One was Will Zalatoris, who, by the way, with 1 win, would pass him because he's played so few events.
Right.
And Matt Fitzpatrick was the other, who just won for the very first time at the US Open. It happened to be a big one. And so you wonder if these things start to average out, which maybe that's how it works, maybe it doesn't, then yeah, you're going to see the floodgates open. But what I think is really even more important than just the law of averages and the luck stuff that Tony Finau has dealt with, he really has made some improvements with his game, Rick. You're talking about a guy that's known for to be a great ball striker. He's having his second best season ever, as far as his ranking is concerned, in strokes gained off the tee. His best season ever in strokes gained approach the green. By the way, he's at it again today. He was first. And it's his best season ever in 3rd round scoring average, and his best season ever in 4th round scoring average. And those are the 2 areas in particular, more so than his ball striking numbers. Those are the 2 areas on the weekend where Tony Finau has made the biggest improvement. And that's the thing that's going to correlate to more victories. He's 3rd on the PGA Tour in 4th round scoring average. A guy we've known for a long time as a guy who doesn't necessarily close very well. That he's changing that.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to eventually retire the nickname Top 10 Tony. I don't think that's I don't think that's going to apply. It might be top 1, Tony.
Yeah.
Here.
Well, hey, a win's still a top 10.
That's true. A win, still a top 10. The man he's tied at the top of the leaderboard with, Taylor Pendrith, the Canadian. 64 also for Pendrith, although his did indeed feature a bogey. Number 18, his 9th hole of the day. So that's 9 birdies to offset that 1 bogey. And Greg, we talked about him extensively this week. Missed the 4 months thanks to the fractured rib from the Players' Championship. He just picked up right where he left off in 2 starts since returning. And Detroit Golf Club literally might be the best spot on the PGA Tour for a guy with the skill set of Taylor Pendrith.
Right. I mean, you're talking about a long hitter who putts pretty well. And that's exactly what he did today. He was fifth today in driving distance, and he was 5th in strokes gained putting today. So he kind of hit the nail right on the head. But what's put him up on top of the leaderboard was his iron play today. Even though he missed 5 greens, he still led the field in proximity to the hole, or at least is leading as we speak right now, and was 4th in strokes gained off the tee. So yeah, this is a great spot for him. And I know you were really excited to see him come back after that rib injury. He was a guy you had circled. I remember you were really upset when he had to miss the U.S. Open qualifier, right?
Yeah. I was, there was like 3 times. He actually, unfortunately, he had like 3 setbacks during this, and he was in the field, and then he had to withdraw on like a Tuesday. And I've been waiting for him to get back into action because he is so talented, Greggy, and he's also fun to watch.
Yes. And look, anytime you get a really long hitter like him in contention, it's a good thing. And it is fun to watch. But since he's returned, the 2 events he's returned to haven't been, the highest regarded events. They've been 2 opposite field events on the PGA Tour. And it was a tied 13th and a tied 11th for him. So, I mean, his previous event before that was the Players. Mm-hmm. So this was this was picking up right where he left off. By the way, at the Players, he finished tied 13th as well. So yeah, you're right, Rick. You're right on the money. He's picking up right where he left off, and he's looking great heading into the final 54 holes.
Speaking of long hitters who can get it going, Cam Champ is 2 shots off the lead. It's a 6 under 66. We kind of have seen this before, Greg, the little breadcrumb, right? He leaves us the breadcrumb last week, and then his history says he goes on to win the next week. Now, we've got a lot of holes to play before that happens, but even more importantly, even more on the line for Cam Champ, there's a lot on the line for David, who told us earlier this week that if Cam Champ won this event, he would, quote, eat a shoe. Well, he's 2 off the lead, David. Start prepping, babe. Let's go.
Yeah. Find a shoe with a thin sole. Maybe it's a slipper. I don't know what it's going to be, but this is. I get the best thing that David has going for him is that Tony Finau sitting on top of the lead.
Yeah,
it really is, because this is just screaming Cam Champ. He picked up right where he left off last week. He opened the tournament with a 75, and it was looking so ugly. I mean, people were laughing at him, right? It was not looking good. And all of a sudden he ends up finishing inside the top 20. He gets to 7 under last week. And now, so I guess what he did in those final 3 rounds was he hit his irons much better. And I guess he did everything better. He gained in every area, every strokes gain area after that first round, including putting, 3 straight in a row putting. He picked up right where he left off. He was 7th in the field in strokes gained putting today. He was 18th in with his iron play, gained nearly 2.2 strokes approaching the green, and he hit 16 of 18 greens. So Cam, it seems like he's feeling something here, and he's scary when he gets near the top of the leaderboard, no matter what you've seen in previous weeks.
The other Cam, this time Davis, is back to defend his title, and he did great in that title defense in his opening round. A 4 under 68, 4 birdies, 0 bogeys on the card. So he's 4 shots off the lead. As of right now, it's T21. Greg alluded to it. There's a couple guys out on the golf course. So these rankings and these strokes gained numbers, they could change just a little bit. But Cam Davis is certainly likely to be in the mix throughout, which again, Greg, is a continuation of great play. It's always a little bit difficult to defend a title when you show up on site and you see your face on all the banners and you see your face on the side of the scoreboard and you've got to do all the extra media obligations. It's tough to do, but he at least went out in the opening round and gave himself a chance to do it again.
Yeah, he put himself right in the mix. And now I think all that stuff can kind of subside a little bit. You've gotten through all your media obligations at this point, and now you're in go time. And he's only 4 shots off the lead right now, and he's hitting the ball great. And the game that he brought here has continued. And I think what's really encouraging is he lost strokes putting today and still shot 4 under par. And if you're looking at the model, that's really encouraging. So he was 14th strokes gained approach. He hit 17 of 18 greens, but he lost a half a shot on the greens. And this is a guy coming into the week who had gained in 10 of 12 events in strokes gained putting. So I think combining what he's done in the last 3 months on the greens and what you saw so far today, there's a really good chance that picks up. And the ball striking's been great coming in too. So there's no sign that that's going to slow down. And you add that extra little bit of rocket fuel on the greens, and he could make a charge up the leaderboard and really be a part of the story this week.
Yeah, we'll look at the live odds here and see if there's any clicks that we want to make. But first, we are going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners. And we're back. Here's the betting board here, Greg. Our friends over at Caesar Sportsbook. As you can imagine, Tony Finau, the favorite at plus 330. Taylor Pendrith, currently tied for the lead, 8-1. Webb Simpson, hat tip to you, Webb, 2 shots off the lead. He's 16-1, along with Cam Champ. And then Cam Davis is 28-1, along with Sahith Theegala. I got to admit, sometimes after these post-round those post-round recaps, you don't get great odds on a lot of these guys, but because Finau's at the top, I'll tell you what, Greg, 8-1 on Pendrith, 16-1 on Cam Champ, 28-1 on Cam Davis. You could probably sell me on all 3 of these.
Yeah, especially. I mean, I would include Webb Simpson in there, right? Webb Simpson has been kind of muddling around even in all these areas, right? He hasn't done anything really poorly, but he hasn't done anything exceptionally well. And all of a sudden, you see Webb Simpson gain over 3 shots approaching the green, and I think that could be really dangerous. He's a big time birdie maker. But what we've seen in this event is a lot of length win with Bryson and Cam Davis as well. They were both. Bryson was obviously first. Cam Davis was 17th entering the week in driving distance. So Cam Davis is a really attractive number to me at 28. Considering the model that we just spoke about. He's 4 back. He lost strokes putting today on the greens. And Cam Champ, I think, is the other guy that's really, really scary here, who's not named Tony Finau.
I am probably a bit biased because I'm holding a Cam Champ ticket from pre-event, but let's talk through this here for a second. This is a guy who has proven to us, Greg, that he is a ceiling golfer. Once a year, once every 18 months, whatever it is, he is a ceiling golfer. He is definitely a floor golfer as well, but he is a ceiling golfer, and that's what you need to win on the PGA Tour. He also, when he gets hot like this is when you want to buy. He played the par 5s at even par on Thursday, which is losing basically a shot and a half, if not more, to the field on the par 5s alone. For a guy of his length, who ranks 18th in par 5 scoring for the season, unlikely he plays the par 5s at even par the rest of the week, right? If he can just kind of keep the momentum rolling, start tearing apart the par 5s like you'd expect him to, tap into that ceiling, like there is a very clear path to Cam Champ improving over the course of the week and winning this golf tournament.
Right. And he can keep making birdies, especially when those par 5s come into play. So for Cam Champ, you mentioned he's losing like a shot and a half to the field, but for Cam Champ, he might be losing 2.5 shots.
Great
right?
point. Yes. Yeah.
So you would expect him to make even more birdies on the par 5. So I think that also really bodes in his favor. Now, typically in the model, we look to guys who didn't have a great putting day. He had a really nice putting day, but he's shown when he's in that ceiling mode that he can really fill it up on the green. So I would expect that to continue. I'm not looking for that to flatten out at all. And I think I really think he's the most dangerous guy on the board, not named Tony Finau.
Yeah, he gained 2.7 putting on Thursday. It's probably unlikely. Like, he's not going to gain 10, but he could gain 6, 5, 4, even anywhere in there, which we've seen him do, especially when he gets in these moments and kind of make up for it in other places. It's the same thing. Like, Taylor Pendrith and Tony Finau probably aren't going to gain 6 shots to the field for the next 3 rounds. Like, there's going to be these ebbs and flows, and I think there are more flows than ebbs in the future of Cam Champ for the rest of the week.
And look, this is more so true with Tony Finau than Pendrith. But Pendrith is a little bit in this camp as well, where I think their floor in those ebbs and flows this week, given the form we've already seen, is a little bit higher because of their length. But I look at Cam Champ, and I think a bad round for him this week could still be it could still be a 4 under par round of golf pretty easily. And if 68 is your low for someone like him, that could be really dangerous.
Lots of golf to be played. So we will see how the rest of the Rocket Mortgage Classic shakes out. Recaps after rounds 2, 3, and 4. Of course, we'll be here for you each and every step along the way. But for now, Greg Ducharme is available on Twitter at @TheRealGFD, and you can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.